Hey, what's up, guys? This is the second part of our target scraper project in which we will scrape reviews from the target website, reviews from products of many different categories. In the last video, we defined men's clothing category to scrape data from its subcategories, and we sent a request to this page here to get all the URLs. And in this video, we will continue our project to go in each subcategory here and scrape its reviews. If you enjoy this kind of project, click on like and subscribe to this channel. And with all that said, let's get started. Well, the first thing I will do here is to change this file name to get subcat URLs, okay? And I will create a new file here called scrape URLs. This will be the name, at least for now, to read this CSV file here and send requests for each subcategory, right? I prefer to create a new file instead of using the one we devised in the last video, just for organizational matters, okay? Now let's ask the AI to read the CSV file and write the links to a list. Let's see. Okay, here it is, I think. Let's run to see if it's working. The AI already imported the CSV library. Yeah, here we have all the subcategory links, and I will create a list to store them. Then I will go here in the for loop and append to this list. Actually, guys, I forgot something here, so I'm coming from the end of the video to fix it. After you set the reader, you need to write this next to and then reader to skip the first line, okay? Because the first line are just the name of the columns, and we don't want to add them to our lists. So just add this line here, and your code will work perfectly, right? So let's get back to the video. So now we have a list with all subcategories links. Then we could use the links here to send the requests, but there is a problem. Let me open the subcategory page for you to see. I'm here on target website and I will choose this subcategory here. And you can see that the products load dynamically. So if we use the request library and try to send a request to this URL here, it will not work because the HTML data will not contain any product data. So you may think using Selenium here is a good idea, but the problem is that Selenium takes a considerable amount of time, and we will scrape a lot of pages, up to 200 products for each subcategory. So it will take too much time, and Selenium is not our only option here. Let me open the developer tools and reload this page. Okay, it's reloading, and I will go on network tab and filter by fetch/xhr. Then let's see. Yeah, you need to wait until all the products are loaded, and then we can start searching here inside to see if we can get the products data from these files here. Basically here we can see the result of the API request. So if we click on this file here, we can see the response, and you can see that we have a lot of data. Then you can use Ctrl A here to select all the data and copy to paste on Visual Studio Code. Let me create a new JSON file and then paste it here and click to format document. Then we can start searching the data we want inside this JSON file. And a good way to do that is by searching for the name of some product. Let's get back to the target website, and here I will choose this item Pro Club Have Weight to search inside this JSON file to see if the data is here or not. And you can see that we have two matches. Yeah, I'm using Ctrl F. So we have the product here. Probably there is another product with the same name. I don't know, maybe, but whatever. This is just a specificity of the JSON structure. What really matters is that we have the product here inside the file. Now we need to see if its details are also contained in this file. Here above, you can see the structure of this JSON file. So If, for example, you are reading this file using Python, you can see the exact path you can use to get some value from it. If I want, for example, to get this title here, I have to use all this path here, going inside dictionaries, and we have also a list here to get this title. But more interesting than that is that we have this list here, and as the name suggests, is a list of products. So I can click here and click here again to go to the beginning of the list. And if you click somewhere inside the list, you can see here above the number of the dictionary. If you click here and then here, you can see all the dictionaries we have. And each dictionary is basically for a product. So here we have data for 30 products. It starts on 0 and then goes up to 29. We can open the dictionary to see what information we can get, and then start doing a research here to see, like, we maybe can get the price here. Yeah, here it is, formatted current price. Here below, we also have information about the rating and reviews, the average for this product, and so on. We have a lot of information inside the dictionary. Like here we have this category dictionary, and inside it we have the category ID also, and the parent category ID. We just need to find what values here are relevant to us, and then we can read this JSON file and get exactly what we want by using the path we have here. For example, if I want to get the category ID, I just need to follow this path here. Let me write it for you to see. So this would be the path to get the category ID. We need to first go on data, then search, then we have the products list, and this is the first item of the list, so index 0, then category, and then category ID. This part is simple, you just need to do some work, but once you write all the paths to get the values you want, you will be able to use them for the JSON files of all pages, okay? Because this is the first page. It contains 30 products. Then we have the second page, the third page, the fourth page, and so on, until we reach the maximum amount of 100 products, right? Now let's give a look at the URL of this API response. We can go on headers, and then we have the request URL. I will copy it, and then on Visual Studio, I will create a new file, notes.txt, then paste it here. Let me press Alt and Z. Okay, so here we have the URL of the API request. If we paste this URL on our browser, you will see that we will get the response, and we can click here to print. So we have the same response as before. Okay. Now let's analyze this URL. You can see here the path of this URL, and then we have a question mark. And after the question mark are the query parameters. Just let me diminish this. Okay, so I will copy again and paste here below the URL. And now let's start breaking it to see all the parameters we have. First, we have the category, and then we have this equal symbol here to set the value of the category. And at the end of the query parameter, we have this ampersand here to separate it from the next parameter. So here we have count, and then the same thing, we have its value, and another ampersand to set one more parameter here. This default purchasability filter. I will put each parameter in a different line. So I will select this ampersand and press Ctrl and D. Then I'm selecting all the following ampersands, okay, by pressing Ctrl and D. And then, as you can see, I have many cursors here. Now I just have to click on Enter, and we have the parameters separated by lines. So it's better to visualize. Now I will remove this ampersand here, also this one and this other one here. And with these parameters, you can see how the URL is built, and then start making tests to find what parameters are important and what are not, because this URL is the key to scrape the data we want from the website, okay? Now I will go on the second page of the subcategory here, click on this arrow here, and then let me clean the network tab here. Wait until the products load. I think the website already blocked me because I sent this request here on this browser. So I will have to use a new browser to open this page. And this is also because I already sent many requests before to Target. So their system may be already monitoring my IP. I don't know. But I know that with a new browser, it's gonna work. So here I am on a new browser, a new profile in the first page, and you can see the products are loading. Now I will clean the network tab and go to the second page. Let's wait until it is loaded. And here we have it, the page loaded, and we have all the products here. And it works because when I create a new browser profile, the headers we send on each request also change. So in this way, the target doesn't know that I am the same person making the request. Okay, now I will use this fetch filter again. Let's get our API response here. Copy the URL. I will paste here above. So the first URL here is for page 1 and the second for page 2, and we can analyze them to see where are the differences. To do that, I can select the URL, and you can see that it's also selecting here above, because when we have repeated text on Visual Studio Code, it highlights the parts that are equal. So we can use this feature to see the difference on our URLs, right? But this has a limit of characters, so I cannot select all the URL here to compare. Because, for example, let me copy this first URL here and paste it here. You can see that when I select one URL, the URL below also is selected because these URLs are the same. But you can see that here on line 4, it doesn't highlight anymore because it has a limit of characters, okay? So here it reaches the limit and it stops selecting. Like if I start from here, then it will select again. So now let's remove this. I will use this feature, but only 2 by 2 lines to do not reach the limit. Here we can see that the first 2 lines are equal. Then let's check the second here, and you can see that they are not equal anymore because it's not highlighted here below. So we have a difference, and the difference here is basically on the offset. You can see this offset here is 0, and then here below we have 24. Now let's keep going to see if there are more differences. Here you can see that it's not highlighting anymore. So let's see where's the difference. We have a difference on pricing store ID. This actually was not supposed to happen. It's only happening because the first URL here I got using one browser profile, and the second URL I got using a different browser profile. So what I'm going to do is to get this page 1 URL again, but with the same browser profile, which is this one here. Let me go again to page 1. Wait until the products are loaded. It's taking too much time. I will click to reload the page again. Let's see, here it is, and it took, I think, 1 minute, and then we can get the URL again here of the first page. Let me replace. Now we have the new URL here. I can start again selecting the lines. You can see the first 2 lines are equal. Then we have a difference here because of the offset. Now let's see these lines here, and you can see they are also equal. The store ID is the same. The only difference was because of different browser profiles. Now let's keep going. Yeah, again, the same. Here also. Okay, yeah, that's it. The only difference between the URLs is the offset. So we can use it to iterate through the API response of all the target pages. Let's get the page 3 URL to do a final test. And you can see the offset is increasing by 24. So on page 3, it's supposed to be 48. I cleaned again the network tab, then I will select page 3, and let's wait until the products load. Again, taking too much time, I will reload the page. Here it is. Let's copy it to compare. Put it here, page 3. Now we can select to see the differences again. Here is the same. And then as you can see here, we have the offset 48. So we just need to add 24 to the offset parameter to go to the next page and get the product's data, okay? Because everything else here remains the same, as you can see here when I select. And I can go here on page 3 and copy again the response to paste on Visual Studio Code. I will write here target page 3 point JSON, paste it here, and then format the document. And you can see that we have again the products list containing 30 products, but these products are for page 3. Let me do a search here for page. Yeah, I think this is the parameter of the page, and you can see current page, page 3. Here on first page, if I search, I will get 1 because this is the page 1. Okay, now we will use this URL here, varying its parameters to scrape a page from any subcategory of the target website. And this is how the URL is gonna be, okay? I'm calling it the API link. And you can see that we have a F string here, and we have some parameters here that are fixed, like this count, the default purchasability filter, and we have parameters that will vary, like the category here, the offset, the page. So they will vary depending on the subcategory we want to scrape and the page, okay? Now let's see how we can get each parameter. First, we have this variable called subcategory ID, and it's the value of the category parameter, okay? So let's go on our first URL here, search for category, and you can see here its value. And basically, if you go here on the link of each subcategory, you will see that at the end of the URL, we have this n dash and then some characters, right? And these characters here are basically the value we want, okay? So here I sent a request to t-shirt and tank tops, so I can copy the category value here, and let's search on our spreadsheet, and you can see that we have just one result, and it is for the t-shirt and tank tops subcategory, okay? We just need to get these last characters for each subcategory. You can see that we have this n and dash for all of the subcategories, right? Actually, it's better to also select the slash here, okay? Now we have exactly 21 results, as you can see here. So all lines selected, one match for each line. Then here, when we read the CSV file, we can use this snippet to get the subcategory ID. We look into the row 1, okay, which is the second row. The first row is name and the second is the link. Then we use a split method to separate the string using this separator here, /n and the dash, which will give us a list as the result. And basically this list will have two positions. The first position will be everything that comes before the /n and dash, and the second position will be everything that comes after, okay? So we will use it as a separator. And for this reason, we have to use -1 here to get the last position of our list, which is exactly what we want. Now, instead of printing the row 1 here, I will comment this line, and let's print the subcatch ID. Let's run the code and see the output. Here it is. We have the subcatch ID for every subcategory. I can copy here and search on subcategories to see. Yeah, here it is. I can do that for any other subcategory here. Here we have it. And then I will create a list for the subcategory IDs, and I will append all of them to this list. Here it is. Now we can iterate over this list to scrape all the subcategories. Okay, the second parameter is the offset, and we will increase it by 24 for each page until we reach the maximum amount of pages. So it's pretty simple. I'll let to do it at the end. Then let's see the page ID encoded, how we can get it. And you may ask, why is it encoded? Because here below you can only see page, right? But if you go here on the original link, you can see that we have the subcategory ID here, the same as here above, as you can see, okay? But before we have some different characters here. And this, I think it's because this part is encoded. If you go on this website URL decoder and paste all the characters here and click to the code, you will see that we have the result /C / and then the subcategory ID. So I really think it's encoded. But this doesn't matter much now. I'm only showing this website because very soon we will have to use it. Okay, but now let's get back to our code. And to get this page ID encoded, we just need to do this. Basically concatenates two strings. The first part is the encoded part, and the second part is the subcategory ID, okay? And in this way, we will be able to build the page ID encoded. Then we have the visitor ID parameter, and to get it, we have to send a request to a random target page and use regular expressions to scrape it from the HTML response. So now let's do that. I will paste some code here. Okay, here it is. Also, I will have to import some libraries. All these libraries here, the CSV is repeated. Okay, so basically here, I will do the same thing I did before to read the file containing user agents for desktop, this file here. Okay, and I will load the JSON file into a dictionary. And then I will read this dictionary, the values, which are actually the user agents, and put each user agent into this list here, US list, list for user agents. Then I will select a random user agent using this random point choice method here, and create this variable headers, which is a dictionary. The key is called user agent, and the value is actually the user agent. For example, it can be this first one here, Macintosh or Windows or anything else, right? So with that, we will choose a random target link using, again, random choice. And here we have the subcats URLs, which is a list we created before, containing all the subcategory links, okay? These links here. Then we will use this random target link to send a request. And here we have the headers to set the user agent. And with the response of this request, we can get the visitor ID and also the API key using regular expressions. So first, let me put a breakpoint here and then run the code to see the response we will get. It's printing a lot of subcategories here. Let me remove this print statement here. Okay, here it is. We have a successful response, 200. Now I can print here the response.txt, copy all, and I will create a file here for the response target. Paste it here and format the document. Now we can use the regular expressions to search here. So I can copy the one for the visitor ID, because in Visual Studio Code, you can also search using regular expressions. First, let me just copy this first part here, visitor underscore ID. Go here on the file, Control F to search, and then click here. I can click here to enable regular expression. Okay, now I'm searching using regular expression. Let's see. Yeah, actually, it's not working. I think I didn't copy the right response. Let me get back to the debugger. Here I can write response text again. Before I selected to copy all, but this is wrong. The right option is just copy. I don't know what's the real difference, but now let's format the document again. And you can see that now we have two matches, and the second one is what we want. Here it is. So as you can see, here we have visitor ID, and then its key, right? Let's try to copy the full regular expression here to see if it will work. And you can see that we have no match, because on Visual Studio Code, you have to use two slashes for every one slash you have. So here we have two, I will add more two, and here the same. Now you can see it's working perfectly. Oh, come on. Here it is. Here it is, visitor ID, and then we have its value, which will be used in the API URL, okay? Here you can see it's highlighting everything from the beginning of the visitor ID until the end of its value, but we only want its value. So to get it, we are using parentheses here to create a group, and with that we can get only its value. Let me explain better how this part here works. we have the search method, which looks for the first place this pattern here appears inside the response dot text, the text of the response. And then we can use this group with the value 1 here to get only the value of the visitor ID. Let me copy this and paste it here, and you can see that we have exactly the visitor ID. If I put 0 here on group, then we will have the full match, okay? Including this part here, visitor ID, the slashes, but we only want its value, so we have to use 1 here. As you can see here in ChatGPT, group 0 is for the entire match and group 1 for only what's inside the parentheses. And we have exactly the pattern we need to get the visitor ID inside the parentheses here, right? I won't explain in depth regular expressions because only this would take an entire video or even more. But basically here inside the parentheses, we want characters that can be from uppercase A up to uppercase Z or from 0 up to 9, right? And we use the plus symbol here because it can be one or more characters, okay? So it will look here inside the HTML response and get everything in this range until it reaches a character which is not in this range. For example, a space or a new line or a lowercase character. Then when reaching a different character, it will stop. So looking the whole regular expression, we have this pattern here, which is visitor ID, and then two slashes, this quote, the column, or two slash, another quote, and then we have inside the parentheses the pattern for the visitor ID. And in this way, we can get it. Here below, we have the pattern for the API key, which is very similar, We have the API key and some characters like before, and then the parentheses to create a group. And this group will contain one or more characters in this range here, which goes from 0 to 9 and lowercase a up to lowercase z. I know it may be a little confusing if you don't know anything about regular expressions, so I really recommend you search more about this topic and study it by yourself. Now I will copy the pattern for the API key and search here on the response target. I, of course, have to add the slashes here. And here we have it. So we have the API key and then its value. But actually, it's not exactly what we want because as you can see here, the letters are uppercase letters and we only want lowercase letters in the same way it's written here in the pattern. I don't know why Visual Studio Code is giving me this as an answer because this doesn't correspond to the regular expression I wrote, okay? I will have to click here to match whole word and also to match case to make it work, okay? Now we have the answer we want, which is this API key. As you can see, all letters here are lowercase letters. So when searching on Visual Studio, always remember to activate these parameters here. Now let's send another request and print the API key. Okay, I will just copy this code here and paste on the debugger, and you can see the value of the API key. And again, we are using the group method to get only what's inside the parentheses here. Now we just need to get the user agent encoded, and then we will be able to build the entire URL. But this I would like to do in the next video and then start saving the product's data. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the content, please click on like and subscribe to the channel because this is very helpful for me. And comment below what you think about this project. And if you have any questions, awesome. And that's it. Thank you so much.